I'm Paul Levinson, and welcome to Light On, Light Through, episode 179, my review of Mare of Easttown, which I think of as Jude the Obscure near Philadelphia. Well, Mare of Easttown miniseries concluded on HBO last week, and it was one downer of a miniseries, brilliantly acted, and with resolution so somber, it did remind me of Jude the Obscure. That was a novel that, of course, goes back to the 19th century, one of the most depressing things I've ever read, but it is considered a classic because it is brilliantly written. Now, the ultimate resolution of Mare of Easttown left lives broken everywhere, if they were not literally ended already. Colin was killed a few episodes back for reasons barely related to the main murder under investigation. Even Erin's murder turns out to be something of an accident, rendering it a statement about the insanity of so many guns in this country, which, by the way, I agree with. That is insane. The United States suffers from a mass insanity in which you can buy a gun. You can literally be psychotic, but if no one knows about that, you can just go in and buy a gun. It takes much more effort and work to get a driver's license, for example, than to buy a gun. But back to Mare of Easttown, I thought that ending was not as narratively satisfying a result of an evil intention as we usually like to see in these stories. And the broken lives are indeed ubiquitous. Julianne Nicholson was just superb, especially in that last episode as Laurie, with her beloved son going off to prison. Now, Julianne Nicholson is really a world-class actress. You may recall her performance in Law and Order and Masters of Sex and many other great shows. And at least Mare herself, also wonderfully played by Kate Winslet, has at least a hope, maybe, of some happiness as she walks up those stairs to the attic to perhaps find some peace about her son up in heaven. But I would have liked the ending much better had the story at least left Guy Pearce's Richard in town with Mare. What's the point of having him go off to Maine? I don't know. It's probably a 9 or 10 hour drive from the outskirts of Philadelphia. Just adds another burden to poor Mare. I don't know. Maybe it says something about my age, but my favorite characters in this miniseries were Mare's mother, Helen. Great to see Jean Smart again, who had an irrepressible sense of humor and a winning penchant for the wisecrack. And Chief Carter, this is the first time I've seen John Douglas Thompson on television that I remember, at least. But his character was great. He had a way of injecting calm and reason with his words and presence. And that was sorely needed in this often, almost always, harrowing story. I suppose heartbreak is especially pertinent in this year we've just been through off the screen. When Mare mentions the year everyone has been through in Easttown, she's talking about the deaths and the breakups and breakdowns in this fictional world. But she just as easily could have been talking about the world her viewers have inhabited and tried to live in during the lockdown, during the pandemic, and the bashing of democracy by America's former president, and tragically that's still going on. The pandemic may be winding down, but the bashing of democracy continues every day here in the United States. So in that sense, Mare of Easttown may be perfect viewing for our time. And, like Jude the Obscure, a sad kind of masterpiece.
The Light on Light Through podcast.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this brief review of Mare of Easttown. If you haven't seen it, I recommend that you do. But I hope then, in that case, you didn't listen too carefully to what I said at the beginning of the podcast, because it does give away a big part of the ending. But in any case, I'll be back here next week with another review, likely of a science fiction movie or television series. But as I've been warning you now for at least a month or two, I'm going to sometimes sneak in a review of a mystery detective show, which of course is what Mare of Easttown is. And as I always say, science fiction is what done it, and mystery is whodunit. And Mare of Easttown certainly was a complex, provocative mystery with all kinds of suspects to answer that question of who done it, who killed Aaron. Anyway, I'll see you back here soon. In the meantime, be safe, be well, and enjoy.
Athens, 2042 AD. She ripped the paper in half, then ripped the halves, then ripped what was left again into bits and pieces of history that could have been. Sierra Waters had read once that, years ago, it was thought that men made love for the thrill, while women made love for the sense of connection it gave them.
Curled Up with a Good Book says, Sierra Waters is sexy as hell. You can find out more about The Plot to Save Socrates by Paul Levinson at theplottosavesocrates.com.
Paul Levinson still code about an ancient biotech war raging on in secret for centuries.